I'm out here in the streets, you know what I mean? Whooping niggas' ass, starting wars and shit, putting it down, dropping albums, doing my shit.
As the gang warfare of the rap scene continued to fragment into antagonistic indiscipline, movies would prove to be a welcome diversion for Tupac Shakur. Having already appeared briefly in the movie Nothing But Trouble, starring Chevy Chase and Danny DeVito, it was to be 1992, less than a year after the release of his debut album, that would see him make his first headlining role on the big screen. The script he was offered was that of the domestic drama Juice, directed by Ernest R. Dickerson. Tupac's high profile secured him the lead role of Bishop, in a tale of 4 young African-American teenagers whose lives changed dramatically after their decision to commit a robbery. Although the movie was only a modest success in cinemas, Tupac was praised for a performance that would lead to a proliferation of offers for further movie work. Although he was forced to turn down some roles due to music commitments, he accepted the opportunity to star alongside Janet Jackson in his next project. He took the male lead in Poetic Justice, a modern-day road movie directed by John Singleton. The story focuses upon a young woman who reluctantly agrees to go on the road with her best friend and her mailman, Lucky, played by Tupac, following the murder of her boyfriend. Filming of the movie provided a series of tense moments, one of which being Jackson's insistence that Tupac undergo an HIV test before she would film any love scenes between them. Such tensions were apparent in the final product, and their on-screen chemistry, whilst not overtly affecting the movie as a whole, was somewhat distant. His relationship with the film's director also suffered, as his continuing inability to steer clear of trouble forced John Singleton to drop him from his next film, Higher Learning, later that year. With a twist of irony, Singleton eventually cast Ice Cube, a rapper who had been a great influence on Tupac's music career. The unabated aggression in Tupac's life emanated almost entirely from the East Coast-West Coast gang wars, which continued to escalate at a relentless pace. But his own pugnacious nature would see him too often in the company of police officers. Just months after Juice opened in cinemas, Tupac was involved in a fight with a number of former associates from his days in Marin City. This was no ordinary brawl though, and resulted in tragedy as a 6-year-old bystander was shot in the head. Tupac's half-brother, Morris Harding, also a member of the band Thug Life, was arrested in connection with the incident but was ultimately released due to lack of evidence. There were a string of such unpleasant incidents just prior to the release of his second film that further reinforced the gangster image that Tupac had embraced. In March 1993, whilst in Hollywood, a limo driver accused Tupac of using drugs whilst in his vehicle, and he found himself under arrest following a physical altercation between the pair. Charges against him, however, were subsequently dropped. He was arrested yet again just a month later on a charge that would on this occasion escort him to prison. Whilst attending a concert in Michigan, Tupac attacked a fellow rapper with a baseball bat, his violent conduct landing him behind bars for 10 days. Despite his seemingly endless brushes with the law, Tupac was not yet ready to relinquish the aggressive lifestyle he had adopted, and rather than spending the time inside to cool off, he was back in jail before the end of the year. At Halloween, he was arrested on suspicion of an alleged shooting of 2 off-duty Atlanta police officers, whom Tupac insisted were subjecting a black motorist to unnecessary harassment. The incident was never fully investigated, and once again no charges were brought. In November of the same year, though, he became reacquainted with the jail cell, following the accusation by a female fan that he sexually abused her following an evening with friends in a New York nightclub. Tupac vehemently denied the charges, but was expected to spend time inside under intense legal scrutiny whilst the crime was investigated. During this time, several West Coast rappers, including Warren G, Coolio and Ice-T, showed their support for Tupac by filming the video for Temptations, a single from Tupac's next album. Such support from his musical comrades was well received at a somewhat difficult time for Shakur. Although films and felonies have been laying big claims on Tupac's life and career, there would always be time for music. In the midst of the seemingly endless controversy, he was able to record and release his second album. It was relieving to find Tupac's name linked with business rather than brawn once more, and Strictly for My Niggers was unleashed upon the world on the 1st of February 1993. A much more fragmented recording than his debut, the album, however, fathered a slew of successful singles, including Papa's Song and I Get Around. Other notable tracks include Keep Your Head Up and Something to Die For. The former, a song about the strength of women who are exposed to the unwelcome attentions of disrespectful men, was ironic considering the circumstances in which the record was released. Irony, though, did not hinder the song's rise into the US Billboard Top 10. The latter track can be considered prescient, being, as it is, a warning shot from his mother about finding something worth dying for in the absence of something worth living for. His controversial lifestyle had done little to affect his appeal at the record counter, as the album, like its predecessor, sold comfortably, appealing to new and established fans alike, and ultimately achieving platinum status. The record's success would also win him the respect of the mainstream music industry, and he was nominated in the American Music Awards for Best New Rap Artist of 1993. By the end of the year, despite the success in the charts and at the box office, he was still awaiting trial for the alleged sexual offences. The year had been one of mixed fortunes for Tupac, and 1993 would no doubt be best forgotten in the Shakur household. He surely could not expect 1994 to be any worse. Could he?